It has been a very, very long time in between me doing updates on little Miss Everly. She's not doing the best, as you could imagine, with all of the seizures we've been having. So when we got home from our weekend away at the city, I increased Everly's medication the next day as per our plan with the neurologist. I'd already increased her lunchtime dose of clobazam, which is the benzo medication I was nervous about. I then went ahead and increased the morning dose, and you could see immediately the signs of her being oversedated. She was just vague and not herself, and I thought, no, we'll push it too far. If we up again, we need to pick a different med. 2 weeks ago, I spent that week trying to get in contact with her neuro team and just sending her weight and her medications and assessing what other medication we could increase. We ended up going with the Fintepla or fenfluramine. We upped that by 0.1 mil, so minuscule. I then had a follow-up appointment with neurology last Monday, so 8 days ago, and we made a backup plan that if she were to seize again, we probably should up another medication because she had put on so much weight lately. The thing with these medications is they're sit at a therapeutic level. So there's a certain amount of milligrams per kilogram per day that need to be given to keep it in that therapeutic range, so it's not too much and it's not too little. It's sitting where it needs to be to work. And because Everly's put on weight, she's starting to drop at the lower end of those therapeutic levels. So we're now discussing whether we have like weight markers where we increase meds as a precaution, as opposed to being reactive, we'd be proactive. So I had that appointment with neuro, and it was decided that we would up her steripental, which is the med that counteracts with the benzo med. So still same thing, different med, right? But next time she sees to increase that. So nearly 2 weeks ago, I increased the Fintepla, and the side effects from that are brutal. It was really hard. Her sleep's regressed again. She's not really sleeping properly at all. And then, unfortunately, 4 days following that appointment with neuro, on Friday last week, so 4 days ago, Everly had another devastating tonic-clonic seizure, this time with hot dog in her mouth, and it was bad. They're all really bad lately. Everly's becoming so tense that you can't even put her into the rescue position properly because her whole body is just so stiff, and they're becoming really aggressive, which is something I haven't seen in quite a while. As usual, I knew it was coming. I get the heebie-jeebies, I just know. So I increased her medication that night, and within 2 days, Everly can't really walk properly at the moment. She is slightly improving today, 4 days post-increase. Her speech is sort of gone again. She's just really, really not herself, and it's really sad to watch. In a 2-week time frame, I messed with 3 different medications, trying to find the right balance to be able to get these seizures under control. I still have a feeling that we're going to see another seizure before these meds start to take effect. It can take anywhere up to 3 weeks for them to really be in her system and working effectively. On top of all of that, we are having severe stomach issues with Evie. We've had to stop all feed. It seems her peg may be giving her discomfort. She's started to get eczema around her button again. I'm waiting to get an urgent review with the peg clinic to see if it's the peg causing it, or maybe she has tummy issues or GI issues. I don't know. We're also training new staff at the moment, so lots of shadow shifts are happening, and we've finally been able to onboard speech and OT. The reason we've been able to onboard them is because now a lot of services, thanks to the NDIS changing the price guide, are charging gap fees, and a lot of people can't afford that, so therefore they can't access speech and OT, which means people like us who have been on the wait list for years are finally at the top. Now the speech we will see once a week at first, because Everly's never really had speech, and she's also trained in Everly's AAC device, so I've already learnt quite a bit about the AAC and ways to integrate that and help her. So that will be invaluable, but that will cost me at a maximum of $30 per appointment, so $30 per week, out of pocket, on top of them charging NDIS. I also met with an OT today that we've been on their waitlist for quite a while. They came and met Everly, and we did the intake. That took nearly 2 hours. She had some valuable feedback about Evie and ways that we could help her. Things like her reflexes, her infantile reflexes and stuff that she may still be having. Things that I don't know anything about, that I'm going to learn about. And her sensory profile and sensory input and all of that, and how to help her with things like, feeding and dressing and self-care. And but that will cost me at a maximum, they can't promise, but at a maximum $50 per session. So as it stands per week, I'm out of pocket $80. On top of them charging hundreds of dollars to her NDIS. It's rather frustrating, but Everly really needs these interventions, especially in the lead up to her going to school, and especially with the way she's regressing after all of her seizures. We need to have something in place, so I'll do what I have to do. We're seeing so many people, so many times a day. There's appointments coming out left, right and centre, plus we're still doing the NDIS stuff, which I'll do a different video about. But she's regressed pretty badly, and she's having lots of seizures all of the time. So last week, 3 days in a row, she needed a PRN, or an extra dose of epilepsy medication. And on the Friday we gave her one, and 4 hours later she seized anyway. So we do have a neurology appointment coming up in person in the middle of this month. So I may even ask them if it's worth doing another EEG and just having a look if there's more going on than what we can see. Some of Everly's behaviour a few weeks ago made me think that she was having seizures we couldn't see, and she was postictal because she'd just fall asleep out of nowhere or lay down and be like, uh-oh, and then need to have a nap for like 10 to 15 minutes and then she'd be up. And she's just all over the place, and even I'm really struggling to differentiate what's what and how to help her and what to do. There's so many things happening all of the time. So I will discuss with the neuro team whether, is it worth having another admission so you guys can see for yourself when we have all of the teams come in, or I don't know. She's absolutely gone through it the last few weeks. And it's just really deflating, busting my ass every day, talking to people and making appointments and arranging things and following things up and doing everything I can, and her still to be struggling. It's really hard to watch, and it's really hard to watch her have to endure. So as it stands, we are 3 days post devastating seizure, and I have a feeling there'll be another soon. We have speech, we have OT, we've got our key worker now, she has physiotherapy now. Her support coordinator's been really hands on deck. We changed support coordinators recently. Again, I'll make a different video, but that was a whole other thing. Last week we also had an equipment trial, so Everly had to try a walking frame. Again, we trialed a specialized car seat. We trialed some floor seating for her to potentially be able to sit on the floor because her body is just so weak. And seeing Everly back in a walking frame again after her not needing one for quite a while was rather confronting. Usually I would document all of this to show the reality of our world and of what goes on, but I, obviously not being well myself, I just haven't had the energy to do so. I knew a Dravet storm was coming. They always do. Their peaks and their drops. I knew it. It's just annoying. It's annoying. And I did ask her neurologist last week, I said, is this a progression? Is it a progression of her condition? Like, can we expect it to get worse from here? The seizures are more aggressive than I've seen in years. And she said, oh, look, at the moment, I'd just say we're in a peak. So she has her peaks and her drops with her condition, and sometimes it's worse than other times, and sometimes she's doing really well, and it depends on her brain development and all of those things. So at the moment, we'll just say it's a peak, and we'll wait for the drop to come. Yes. There's always so much happening, but I just feel like the poor thing cannot ever catch a break, and it's exhausting to be updating about the same things over and over again. But this screaming and tummy pain is our biggest concern right now as well. So I'm about to finish filming this and go and call complex care and ask when we can get her into the peg clinic. That will be another trip to Melbourne. Anyway, that's the Evie update.